Okay, so before we begin, you guys are the board of directors for Hewlett Packard.
Oh, okay. You gotta give us specific names of who we are since you had all week.
Your names are your names. And
Okay.
I guess the only other piece is this company was started by Bill, Hewlett, and Dave Packard. So I may make reference to this during the presentation.
Okay, very good. You better have time to get it. Okay.
HP stock has lost 50% of its value in the last 2 years. We are losing share to our competitors every day. The time to act is now. What you see here is the relative performance of our stock against S&P Technology Index in the last 2 years. While the index is up 20%, we are down 50%. We are off from the average by 70%. We used to be the leaders in this industry. This trend is unsustainable. It demands an action now. The decision is in your hands. I am here to persuade you to make a critical decision today. This decision, your decision, is going to define Hewlett Packard going forward. Based on the research that my group has done, we have 2 recommendations. Number 1, spin off PCs. Number 2, invest aggressively in cloud services. This is not an easy decision. PCs have been part of Hewlett Packard for many years. We have done very well in this industry before. But the market has changed. And it is time for us to react. We will present 2 very critical pieces of evidence that led us to this decision. Number 1 is internal factor, our margins. As you know, our business is divided into 3 segments. They have an equal value of our business, from 32 to 34%. PCs, services, and printing. PC margin is less than half of what we make in the other 2 segments. And that's not all. The margin has been declining for last many years. We make 5% margin, and with this trend, very soon we'll be making 2% margin like debt. The margin is low. So let's look at the industry. What is the market thinking about this segment? This is a report by Barclays. And this picture is not pretty. This segment is going to shrink year over year for the next 3-4 years, as much as 8% per year. We are losing share to smartphones, tablets. We are facing heavy cannibalization. So we have to ask ourselves, where do we find the growth? This is not the segment, but where do we find the growth? And this cloud has a silver lining, almost literally. While the PCs have been declining, our services has been doing really well. The margins are more than 10%. And there's one particular area in the service which I want to focus today. That's cloud. Cloud lets an organization pay on a monthly basis for any software, any application, any hardware. What this means is they don't have to buy hardware, they don't have to buy any software, they don't have to buy licenses, they don't have to upgrade, they don't have to worry about anything when it comes to IT infrastructure. HP came up with cloud services last year, and we have been doing very well. And I want to again present to you 2 examples of why this is the area for us to be in. The first is market. If we look at the market, Forrester predicts that the market grows to $240 billion from $40 billion today in the next 9 years. That's a growth of 55% year over year. Deloitte predicts that next year this market is going to be up by 50%. a number of analysts, very respected analysts in technology industry, share the same opinion. This is a very, very huge opportunity for HP since we released our cloud services last year. But numbers are not the only thing. Numbers don't make us successful. What makes us successful and what will continue to make us successful is our DNA. Innovation. Bill and Dave started this company in 1939 in a small garage. And today we employ more than 300,000 people across the world. How did we do it? How did we grow from a garage to the leading company in the world? We did it on our strength, we did it on innovation, we did it by making bold choices. And today the time has come to make another bold choice. This market, cloud services, doesn't have a leader. The market is looking for a leader. And let's be the leader. You and I together. Together, we can be this leader that the market needs. And we can capture the market. It's not easy. None of this is going to be easy. It's a difficult path. But we have the strength and we have the skill to do this. In closing, I would like to remind you that we are in a very critical point in our life. Our shares have been hammered for the past many years. And it is time to make a decision that defines HP going forward. And I present to you two choices, two clear choices. Number one, be part of an area that is growing at a fast speed, cloud services. Number two, spin off the PC division, which is showing very weak signs of growth. Thank you. Questions?
So you mentioned that we have been able to innovate in the past. Why can't we use that innovation to instead of making PCs, maybe other things like a tablet or a smartphone, because that seems to be like a growing market.
That's a great question, Ashish. That's a great question. Basically, the question is where else can we find growth? And this is something that we look very hard at, and we ran a lot of numbers, and we made this choice on the basis of what can give us the maximum bang for the buck in the shortest time frame. And that is how we settled that if you have to pick one thing, what it's going to be as cloud. But I have some very detailed research on this topic, and I'll be happy to email you the number. That's a good question. Yes.
So over the last 10 or 15 years, I think that the path that IBM has taken is kind of what you're suggesting, that HP go down. They were known as a hardware company, and now they're known as a service company. But I think the big difference was IBM was never vocal about getting rid of the hardware space, where HP has been vocally saying, like, we don't want to be in this space anymore, and it's been kind of a public relations mess. Do you want to go down that road again?
Okay, that's a great question. So how will the market react if we say that we are coming out of PC business? From all the indications that we have from our analysts, the market reaction is predicted to be positive. Because when IBM came out of in '93, when they decided to move out of PCs was still a growing market, and IBM made a choice to go towards services. Right now, it's a common knowledge that PCs is not the best market for the next 4 years. So I think if we, from all the indications that we have from the analysts, this is going to generate a positive market reaction. So that's a great question. Another thing that we have to consider.
What's the overall risk for getting out of the PC market?
It is a risk because HP brand name is associated with PCs, and even though almost 70% of our business is not PCs, that's not the common perception. So this is a risk. Our brand management is a risk, and this is something that we are looking at very closely. how to manage that risk. Thank you.
Just kind of similar to the PR and the risk. You know, over the past 10 years or so, we've had a number of headaches and corporate scandals from Carly Fiorina, Compaq, Mark Hurd, Oracle, and now we have Meg Whitman at the helm. How can we help use her to strategically place ourselves in a good light given these changes?
Yeah, and you bring up a great point. So our CEOs have been involved in something or the other going back 10 years. And you mentioned Meg Whitman. That's one of the things that affirms this action. Meg Whitman has an image of excellence. She built eBay. And she built eBay as a services company. And that's where we want to be. We want to be known as a software and services group rather than hardware. And personally, I think there cannot be any better leader than Meg Whitman to take us through. That's a great question. Thank you. Yes, please.
Since 70% of your business, or 30% comes from hardware, but you're associated, the Hewlett Packard brand is associated with hardware, have you thought about maybe rolling this out under a completely different brand name with the cloud services and then spinning HP off and selling that with the name that way? Do you see this with the HP name?
Yeah, I mean, that's again a good question, and that the answer to that depends on how do we want to identify as a company. Do we still want to be associated with a company that makes PCs? Or we want to be associated with a services company with a focus on new technology such as cloud. So that is something that we will consider, how to manage the spin-off. Good question.
Don't you think we'd be better off eliminating 50% of the workforce and just saving money?
Yeah, that's a great point. We have 300,000 people, or more than 300,000 people. Do we need those people? But again, we have to see where are those people working in. And if we do that analysis, a lot of those people are working in the PC business because that has been our longest business. In services, the margin that we get per employee is really high because they are doing consulting with our clients and they're getting paid per hour. So again, if we look at this from a cost-cutting perspective, it again makes sense for us.
So you're suggesting firing all these people?
I'm not suggesting firing these people. I'm suggesting that we take a long-term view on this. What can save this company going forward? What can save HP 10 years from now? And I agree it's not an easy white and black choice, but we have to go with our best judgment in order to make HP the best company 5 years from now.
But nevertheless, this may result in firing hundreds of thousands of people.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. We don't have any proposal right now to fire anyone. But thank you for your question.
So the profit amongst PCs versus services versus printers is roughly equal. But I imagine since the margins are so small in PCs, the revenue must be much, much larger for the PC business.
No, I think if I gave you that impression, I may have misspoke. The profits are not roughly equal. The revenues are equally divided. 33%, almost 33% comes from PCs. The rest comes from services and printers. So if we talk about the margin, it will be lopsided, heavily lopsided against PCs.
So,
Sorry, go ahead.
so my question was good on the follow-up. I mean, getting out of the PC business, it seems like it would make you a much smaller company with a lot less access to supply chains and distribution and a lot of connections to retail outlets and those sort of things. I mean, it seems like that would be a major detriment to those other businesses that are somewhat complementary.
Yeah, so if we talk about the overlap that we have between PCs and the other services, kind of the major overlap is just with printers because our services, our customers are enterprises. Those enterprise leases are very different from the personal PCs that we sell, which is the most of that 33%. So yes, I mean that is a risk that we have to manage. How do we redistribute our services and products? Yes, I agree.
Hey.
Just keep drilling them.
There we got to grill the last guy like crazy here. That's because we knew he could take it. So let's see, a couple of things here. First of all, you guys did so well. This is